YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, and in today's video I have 10 what I like to call secret superstars. Either players that are at an elite level but they are not getting that credit that they deserve, or players that are maybe about to be at that level or can be at that level in the very near future, maybe with the 2023 season. So I'm excited to break this down. I'm excited to give these players some credit that they definitely deserve. If you have different options, candidates, let me know in the comments. We're always talking with you guys on Twitter as well. Link in the comments for that. Anything else you're looking for, sponsors, TikTok, code GOAT on a couple of those sites with the discount. We've been uploading more YouTube Shorts, more of that to come. Please like, subscribe to notifications on, and join us for all of our NFL content. Be much appreciated. So the first one is a guy that I actually think is an elite player. I think Jeffrey Simmons, I think today is an elite football player. And I think people are starting to realize, I think people are like, yeah, he got paid like one because he's maybe about to be one, but I already think he's at that level. I think it's Aaron Donald, Chris Jones. I think it's Jeffrey Simmons. With those guys, and he's only getting better. So, I mean, if you don't think he's elite now, you better be thinking he's elite after you watch him this season. Titans had the #1 run-stopping defense for the last 2 years. It's a pretty big deal. I think it's really it really is led by a guy like Jeffrey Simmons and the interior pressure that he gets. I mean, he was an elite prospect. He had, mainly because of the pre-draft injury, but there wasn't off the field some sort of question that he slipped a little bit. Titans took a shot on him. But yeah, so this guy falls on this list because I think he deserves more credit as an elite player. And I think it kind of opened people's eyes when he got paid. But I did notice, because he was looking for a contract, and anytime there's a guy looking for a contract, he didn't get it yet, and now he got it. But back a couple months ago where he didn't get it, although, fans, media, throw him in the trade conversations, and some of those trades were involving scenarios involving Jeffrey Simmons were ridiculous. Like, they were severely undervaluing him. So I don't think people realize how good he is. Then another defensive tackle that's pretty much in the same boat here, another guy that recently got paid too, is Dexter Lawrence. I think you kind of consider him in that conversation already. I think another season, because last year he really broke out. He was a good player already, but last year he really broke out. Like, maybe Simmons, didn't just break out. It'd be the difference. He kind of got going right away. But Lawrence has always been a good player, but really got going last year. First year under Don Martindale and his defense, another year. So I'm thinking this one, during this year, everyone's probably going to be like, all right, yeah, he's heading that direction. Maybe he's next to the, you put Aaron Donald, Chris Jones, Jeffrey Simmons, Dexter Lawrence. Maybe these guys are all in a row right there. A few other guys in the conversation, obviously. But yeah, I was very high on Lawrence coming out of Clemson because he actually earlier in his career, he kind of showed promise as an interior pass rusher. But throughout his whole career, he was a dominant run stuffer. Like, he didn't need any coaching on that. You knew he was going to come into the NFL, be a dominant run stuffer. And you knew he had it in him, to be that pass rusher from the interior as a big body guy, and so you saw that he had it in him, and they've been getting it out of him, especially last year, taking on double teams, disrupting pockets, just causing a ruckus, for quarterbacks, for offensive linemen. So I think he's a player that, we really should be starting to be like, yeah, he should be in that conversation where he's like, yeah, this guy's about to be an elite player. Like, it's going to happen, and maybe, again, got the big contract, had a really good year. So some people were kind of like realizing, hey, he's a great player, good player, he's on his way, but push a little bit more, give him a little bit more there, And this next one is unlike another defensive tackle. This one is unlike any of the other ones on this list because all the other guys on this list are pretty young and they're kind of getting going. Grady Jarrett has been in the league for a bit now, and he's been known as a well-known player, and he's been known as a great player. I don't know if he's ever known as elite. Maybe people at times were, like, yeah, maybe he's elite or he's on the brink, but I think for the most part, maybe everybody is like, yeah, he's a great player that just never got in the conversation of Aaron Donald, in that conversation, or really how close was he, even though he's a great player. But I always thought he was a little underrated. I thought maybe there was some years where, like, that was an elite season. Maybe he should be more in that conversation. So that's the reason he's on this list. But a big reason he's on this list, and what's a big part of this video, is what's to come this upcoming season. 2023 can kind of create what we're almost predicting in this video. And he's finally got some help. He hasn't had help. He's taking on double teams because across that whole D-line for so long, there wasn't shit on that Falcons D-line. And they add, the big one to me is David Onyemata, but from the Saints, who's a D tackle as well. And they also add Calais Campbell, and you think some of the pass rushers should be able to step up as well. So that could help too. I mean, adding a guy like Bud Dupree, he actually, the way he aligns, he kind of helps teammates. So I actually thought that was big if he stays healthy. So Grady Jarrett has kind of been on the brink of being an elite player. I thought he's had a tougher task than some of these other guys. Not all of them, but most of them. And so I think now, unless he somehow starts declining, which I don't think so, if he just plays like he's been playing and other guys take some pressure off him, it could be an elite season. So this is an interesting one. It's like a veteran that we knew was great could all of a sudden have an elite season. I think it's very possible here. So that is why a unique one here, but that is why I put Grady Jarrett on the list. Next, Christian DARRISAW from the Vikings, the left tackle, who only in his second year last year had a monster season, was one of the best tackles in football last year. I mean, you can make a highlight tape out of what he did. It was very fun to watch. So he's a guy that is, I think with 2023, I think at some point during 2023 or at the end of 2023, we could be saying, all right, is this the best tackle in all of football? Like in general, like there was people saying it during the year last year. He missed a couple games and that kind of hurt him, but he was kind of known as one of the better ones. But that's just based off one season. But I think with another year, I think people will be saying, all right, this guy actually might be the best in football, best left tackle. I mean, the next Trent Williams, which people have thrown out there before. So, I mean, just an incredible, a monster season last year. He had a good rookie year as well, but a monster season. It's scary that he could actually take another step up and become that elite player. So when he was on the field last year, he was, to me, he was elite, but that doesn't mean he's elite because it's a small sample size. But so if he just continues with that and continues developing, I think we'll be talking about him, as at the end of the year, like we could be saying like, is he the best tackle in football? Like, I think that's a possibility there. So Christian DARRISAW, one to watch there. Calvin Ridley. I mean, Calvin Ridley, coming out of Alabama was kind of supposed to be, potentially an elite prospect or an elite player in the future, or maybe a Pro Bowl player, maybe not elite, but and then he was very good for the Falcons, and then kind of forget about him a year because he obviously suspended for a year and he goes to the Jaguars. I still think people almost forget. It's like oh yeah, the Jags got Calvin Ridley, and now he's got. And we'll see how he is a year off football. I don't think I think that could, honestly, it might be a situation where it helps him. You kind of get that rest, get that break. Not that he needed it, but I don't see how he could get worse at football at his age, with a year off. Like, I don't think really at the receiver position, when you got a polished route runner, a smart route runner, does he get dumber? Does he get worse? Like, no, I don't think so. So, and he's got Trevor Lawrence, a growing offense, an improving quarterback, improving offense, well coached. But again, Trevor Lawrence throwing to him, I mean, that's absolutely huge. Christian Kirk, who can spread the field out, stretch the field out, I should say. So, and there's so much to worry about that the best, weapon on the field has got to be Ridley, and that guy could really go off. So, I mean, he could play. I mean, if a couple years ago we said that, in a few years, so a couple years ago, in a few years, so now, if you were saying Ridley's going to be one of the very best receivers in football, everyone would be like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like, it's not like a guarantee, but it kind of makes sense. But now, like that we're here, you say that, it feels weird. It feels like people don't say it because it doesn't seem right. But if you really think about it, like the circumstance, like the situation he's in and where what he was and what he could become, it kind of makes sense. Like it could happen. I mean, not one of the very best. Like, is he going to be up there with Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, etc.? No, probably not. But he could be up there. He could be a superstar receiver this year. So not just one that's not being talked about enough. Another receiver, AMON-RA St. Brown, who, is he a superstar right this second? It's tough to say that, but, I mean, it's a guy where it's like, even with, fantasy football, this is not a fantasy football video, but it's like people forget, that guy, he is very consistent. He gets you big points every week. He gets you, in the real game, he gets big-time production, helps the Lions win football games. It's like you just, forget, we know he's good, but it's like, yeah, he's that good. He's consistent, and he's that good, that much of a problem, and that productive, again, consistently, where it's like, all right, we might have to start talking about him, and people give him credit. People give all these guys on this list credit, but do they give him the credit they deserve? But then I factor in that, I mean, he's young, only getting better. I mean, what he did last year, some thought, let's see if he could do it again. After 2 years ago, let's see if he can, continue off that rookie season. And he did, and he could. And now it's like, all right, he's going to do it again, but could he actually do more? And he just dominates the slot, which a lot of the top receivers in the NFL do right now. And then you factor in that the Lions actually in the passing game faced a ton of man coverage last year, like an insane amount, a confusing amount, because look at Jared Goff. You'd rather run zone against him. That could throw him off a little bit more. But I think a lot of the reason they're running man is maybe to deal with St. Brown. You'd rather have a guy in man coverage over him in the slot, because I think, if they're in zone, I feel like he's going to pick it apart. Maybe he's really good against man, but I think that's going to be even more difficult. He's going to find the soft spots in zone. Like if you have a dominant slot receiver, it's tough to deal with a guy like that in zone. Like he's quick, he's smart, he can find the open spots, he can run routes, he's tough after the catch. If he finds that soft spot in the zone, he's probably gone, So that actually might be the reason, but teams might try to run a little bit more zone against him to try to throw Goff off and get some turnovers, because that's kind of the better route that way. But that can make AMON-RA St. Brown feast even more, perhaps. Either way, he's gonna be feasting, and people don't like. I think what people forget to think is like, okay, he actually can get better, and if he gets better from last year, that's maybe why he's on this list. So we'll see. There's a couple receivers for you. Jalen Phillips. I actually have 2 Miami Dolphins on this list, starting with this one, Jalen Phillips, who I was very high on out of Miami during the draft. And I mean, he's just a natural pass rusher. And you talk about Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips. I think more of the glory, more of the hype goes to Chubb, even though he's a little underwhelming when they traded for him. He's going to be fine, obviously, Bradley Chubb. But maybe I would say that. He's the bigger name, but I say not so fast. Like Phillips actually might be better. Like he might be better. It's a pretty good situation too, where you can't really tell which one's better. But his only issue coming out of college was injuries, specifically the concussions, and it was like, yeah, he had the talent. Like the tape was ridiculous, and he's a guy that can, stand up, put a hand in the dirt, and he made some big time sacks, some big time plays in the backfield. But he's so flashy too. But you see, he was on the brink of just doing so much more. Like he was good, but he was so close to doing in an insane amount more, like elite production. Like you saw it, like there was plays where he's right there, and he's only getting better. He's like a natural, NFL edge rusher. So I think another year now under Vic Fangio, playing with Bradley Chubb, playing with the rest of that defense. Okay, now's the time. Watch out for a guy like this to have an elite season. Any given time could be this year. So that's why Phillips on the list. Another Miami Dolphin is their safety, Javon Holland, which is rookie year. It was ridiculous. Like we were kind of thinking this could be. I don't think a lot of people were saying it, but people were like, yeah. Some people were like, this could be an elite safety in the making, just because how unique he was. They don't have Brian Flores anymore, and he was still solid last year, obviously. But I think we could see a major step up this year, where he can be playing like kind of, where we thought he would get to. I mean, he's just such a unique safety too. He's more of a free safety because of his playmaking range in the back end, but you can see him get downhill and make plays on the ground. When the ball's on the ground, or in the ball carrier's hands, I should say. He can blitz as well, which I think Fangio will use him a little bit in that area. He's just so flashy, making the big plays. So I think it's pretty wide open in terms of the safety position, because when you talk about elite players, obviously you see them play at an elite level. That's how they get there. But you also kind of look at the position, position by position. And to me, I think there's a lot of good safeties. But to me, here's a guy that could be the best free safety in football this year, just safety in general. It's a possibility. So I think therefore, in that special defense, we could be talking about him as like a superstar type player with the playmaking skills that he could have this year. He already has, but could display for us this year. And then 2 more for you guys. Another safety, Kyle Duggar of the Patriots. I'm a huge Kyle Duggar fan. I don't know if I really was. I didn't have a whole lot of him, out of the draft. I knew he's a decent upside player, but last year did it for me. I mean, the stuff I saw from him last year, the Patriots safety, Kyle Duggar, I mean, ridiculous. The instincts, it always stands out to me. To me, it's like, I mean, you can help a guy understand stuff. I know Bill Belichick probably can do that, but it's really if you watch film and you understand this, and then how you recognize it on the field in the moment. And he displayed some of that stuff at a very high level. And we already know he has kind of like the freaky ability, like the athletic ability, the range, the ability to get downhill and hit you in the mouth. Pretty consistent player, got more consistent, but man, if you add instincts at any position, especially on defense, though, I mean, you talk about instincts, you talk about defense, but I really look at like, safety, linebacker, and then maybe corner. But if we're talking instincts, if you have like those types of instincts, like the play recognition, awareness, things like that, you're going to be a really good player. But if you add that on top of a young player that has upside, that has natural, freaky, athletic ability and just skill, all-around skill, like that is scary. That is scary. Like, so some of those plays last year were kind of like Harrison Smith, like in, do you want to say his prime, but maybe his early years entering, like before he entered the prime, because I mean, that to me, that's a Hall of Fame safety too. And it's like a guy you think of like instincts, like do it all type safety. So maybe high praise for Duggar there, but man, he showed me some things last year where it's like, this guy could be insane, like super scary, could be the best safety in football. I think you consider him, this year. I mean, right now, today, like no one's talking about him as the best strong safety in football, we'll say. But if I'm going to like rank safeties, like based on this upcoming year, I'm going to rank strong safeties, like based on how I think they'll play this upcoming year. I'm going to use on, a little bit of last year, like how I think they're going towards and what they're capable of. I would actually put him towards the top. I probably would rank him ahead of anybody else. So I think this guy's a superstar in the making right now, and it could really be. He made some superstar-like plays last year, so big fan of Kyle Duggar. So about another safety, and this is a little bit more bold because it's only going to be his second year. He only had one season as a rookie, but Jalen PITRE of the Texans, former Baylor safety, he had a monster rookie year, better than I expected, especially in Lovie Smith's defense, which Lovie Smith knows how to coach defense, but he got a lot of that Tampa too, and PITRE was a guy at Baylor where he was really good. But by far his best play was like around the line of scrimmage and blitzing. I'm like, so Tampa 2, cover, a lot of cover 2. Is he going to be split safety? I did like Lovie Smith. Now Lovie Smith's gone, but I do credit him a little bit. He did mix it up a little bit. But PITRE also surprised me. Even though I knew he was super talented, he surprised me. Well, he's more talented than I thought, but that he was able to mix it up, like free safety, like the split safety, strong safety, up doing his thing around the box, around the line of scrimmage, in the slot, around the range we know where he would be good. But that's where it really surprised me. A guy that's all over the football field, kind of playing multiple alignments. He technically lined up at free safety way more than I thought he would, and it was pretty good there. But making play, making the big time tackles, making plays on the ball, the way he gets kind of downhill and tacks the ball through the air. So he impressed me so much. He's ahead of schedule. And now this is the big part here. They bring in DeMeco Ryans, who is a phenomenal defensive coach in terms of developing, but also a phenomenal defensive coach in terms of calling the defense on game day. Maybe the best, one of the best in football, we'll say. We'll see how he does as a head coach, but he sure looked like one of the best. And I think he gets the most out of players. I know he had really good players, but it was very clear to me that he knows how to call defense, but he knows how to get the most out of players there. But look at what Talanoa Hufanga did last year, an all-pro actually, the safety on the 49ers, and he's kind of like a high motor. He'll fly around. I mean, he'll line up at both safety spots, and mainly his best is in the box, kind of getting downhill. Making play on the ball or the ball carrier. So I think with DeMeco Ryans coming in, I think to me, PITRE and Hufanga was an all-pro last year, but PITRE is a better version. I guess you can't say that yet, but I think he will be. I think he will be this year. He's a more upside, way more high upside version of Hufanga, a little different builds, maybe. PITRE is a little thin, yeah, obviously, but because Hufanga kind of gives you that linebacker vibe sometimes. PITRE he'll hit you like that, though, too. So that's what I'm excited about. Like, already a really good player that was ahead of schedule, better than expected, fit a defense better than expected, too. Like, I thought that scheme last year might hurt him and actually helped him and got more out of him. And now you bring in a genius defensive coordinator that really we know, because we've seen it from experience, what he did with, a guy like Hufanga last year. And he'll use him in more spots. He'll be more versatile, too. So that's where I get a little excited here, a lot excited about PITRE here, DeMeco Ryans and the Texans defense perhaps. So that's going to be something fun to watch. Another guy, a second-year guy, a couple second-year guys I almost threw in here. Another, you call him safety, but Kyle Hamilton, who could be a really good safety, but he was really dominating the slot for the Ravens last year. Second-year guy. And then Ikem Ekwonu, another, an offensive tackle, second-year guy for the Panthers, playing under Frank Reich. I mean, he got going in the second half of the year. Are these guys going to be superstars? Right away, it's going to be hard to say Ekwonu is. PITRE, like, with the flashy ability and playing different spots and like the wow, like, I mean, that the superstar guys are guys you can make the best highlight tapes. It's not all about the highlight tapes, obviously, but the superstar guys, the guys that are superstars, you know, those are the guys you can make the flashiest highlight tapes out of. And this is a guy that I think could be super flashy, and it's a really good fit with Ryan's defense. So that's why a little bold because he's a second-year guy, but I actually think he can. I would not have told you that too pre-draft. I would have been like, if I would have saw the future. Somebody told me the future, like, you're going to have PITRE as a potential future superstar guy in a video. I'm like, that's a little early, but it is early, but we got to get a little bold here. But I'm excited to watch these players here. So this was a fun video idea. Trying to give some guys some credit. There's a mixture of giving guys credit they deserve now, giving guys, like, kind of giving you a heads up. Like, you're about to be giving this guy credit. Like, it's kind of the middle part of the video. Like, these guys I'm guaranteeing are about to surprise you. And there's some predictions, like, towards the end. Like, these guys, yeah, watch out for them coming the next, this year, then the next year. You know, so maybe a little bold on some of these. So, interesting stuff. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section. We're always talking to you guys on Twitter. We have a bunch of recent videos, a bunch of recent YouTube shorts. We're going to have more of those. I still want to predict records for NFL teams. Yeah, a lot to get to before the season. We do have some time, though. Always talking with you guys on Twitter, like I said. So link pinned in the comments for that. Anything else you're looking for, it's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.